So welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter depending on where you are. So welcome to CIPHER, the third CIPHER conference, the first one that's virtual. And to be honest, sort of deep down, I hope it's not going to be the first one of a long virtual series. I have always enjoyed meeting in person, but today we'll use the virtual format as well as we can. So just a couple of comments for a start. So this may be a silly question what I'm showing here, because after all we're all here, and apparently we think it's useful to have a conference about probability-based internet panels. But I think this time is a good time to reflect really on the role of probability-based internet panels, particularly if you think of how this has played out during the COVID pandemic. I think the COVID pandemic has really driven home the importance and the relevance of using probability-based internet panels to collect data. The internet panels generally were able to respond quickly and go in the field pretty much at the drop of a hat, while other survey modes had to slow down or actually had to suspend operations altogether. So in some ways, I tend to think of the probability-based internet panels at this moment as sort of the survey equivalent of Zoom. Zoom has become a necessity for many of us, and I would think for data collection, I think internet panels have become really indispensable. So here's just a couple of examples of internet panels that I know have responded to the pandemic quickly. There's a LIST panel in the Netherlands. There is the GASIS panel in Germany. There's the American Life panel in the United States. There's a Mary Speak in the United States. Ipsos, United States. And the UAS, the Understanding America study that we run at USC, and Jill Darling will talk about this tomorrow. And many others. I'm sure I have left out many that are also part of this group that I wasn't aware of. And then in addition, you may have noticed, convenience panels have been springing up left and right. I mean, there's so many people have been collecting data over the internet over the last 10 months or so that it's really quite remarkable. So I suspect that we are at what you might think is an inflection point. It's hard to imagine that after the pandemic is over that people will abandon Zoom and will not hop on a Zoom for a short call or things like that. So I think it really has changed the way some of us work, probably for good. And I would think that for surveys, I expect it's going to be the same thing. Always, certainly for quite a while, probability-based internet panels were a big part of the survey toolbox of the various ways in which we could collect data. But my sense is that we may have gotten to a point where now increasingly using a probability-based internet panel may be the default. And then, of course, all the other modes are important. For example, you do face-to-face in case where you really need that. But I would suspect that, if anything, the COVID pandemic has shown the value of probability-based internet panels. And I think they certainly have gained in importance in the way surveys are being done. At the same time, there's always challenges that makes life interesting. And I think the biggest challenge is really to distinguish the differences in quality between probability-based panels and convenience samples, which is really difficult to see for outsiders often what the difference is. And I think one way for us to make that point is to keep improving, keep improving what we're doing, keep improving practices, learn from each other, and discuss whatever approaches we think will make our work more valid and of higher quality. And of course, that's ultimately the motivation why we have the conference like this. So once again, thanks for joining us. I have now probably gained a fair amount of time on the program. I'm also the moderator for the next session, so I think we can move on to the next session right away.